Let's chat.
It's hard.
You want to talk?
I know, that's disappointing.
Sit back. Let's work this
How's
out.
it going? What are we doing
It's pretty
here?
neat.
Where are you going?
Hey there.
Wow.
It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it.
Let's think
This
about
seems
this.
strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
So this is episode 5 of the 82% series we're doing on This Is Actually Happening. This is 5 of 6. We have one more episode after this one, and then that's it. Dunzo for the season. And now I'm going to do a thing that I hate when other podcasts do it. I'm just going to take some time for some announcements.
Oh, God. Okay. Just kidding. I don't even know what you're about to announce. This is exciting.
There are few. There's also a few, and you want to hear them, so don't fast forward.
Turn this volume up.
Yeah, turn it up. Number 1, our YouTube is live.
What?
If you go to youtube.com/@trauma bonded pod official, that's us, baby. Please go there. All the episodes are there. Please like and subscribe and all the things that the kids say. That would be huge.
This is exciting.
It's pretty exciting. It only took us a year. So please go subscribe there. Our second announcement. On July 24th, y'all, there is going to be a celebration of this 82% series in public. You want to meet some people? You want to hear some more stuff about the modern love and family? This is for you. Look for this link in our show notes. There are tickets available. It's at Manny's in the Castro. It's 3092 16th Street in San Francisco. Don't worry about costs. Manny's does not turn away anyone for costs. So please, if you want to go, we can make that happen for you. It's on Wednesday, July 24th at 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. It is a night of social science and social magic with This Is Actually Happening host Whit Missildine, political science Dr. Lily Lamboy, and psychologist Dr. Heath Scheschinger. I know him. To learn about the many ways that people are forming families in the face of changing economic, social, and technological forces. Whit will be in conversation with David J., who is one of our storytellers, an early founder of the asexuality movement, who currently raises 2 children with his married co-parents, and co-creation. So we've got 2 of our storytellers are going to be part of it. This event celebrates the culmination of the 6-part podcast series collaboration between the Modern Family Institute and This Is Actually Happening. So please come and learn and celebrate and say hi and hello.
Wow. Very exciting.
Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg, here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing episode 328 of the podcast. This Is Actually Happening. What if you had no title again? As of this recording, we have no title. We have no working title. This might be one where Whit has something in his back pocket. He just hasn't shared it with me yet. We've had some sort of titling conversation by now, but we just haven't. And as you know, we're kind of a fluid, organic podcast, so you'll get your title when you get it.
Jeez.
I'm tired. A brief synopsis. Kayden moves back and forth on the East Coast between mother and father. Though happy and safe in his early years, his mother becomes abusive when he's young, and she majorly contributes, nay causes, much of his housing insecurity a lot of his life. He wrestles with his identity and sexuality through adolescence and into early adulthood, as he is born assigned female but expresses himself as masculine. Eventually, he embarks on a transition from female to male. And I might be wrong there, but let's talk about it. He becomes unexpectedly pregnant with his first husband, and so begins his journey as a seahorse parent. He's featured in news stories and vilified by some bigoted twats. He's trolled online, including death threats, but Kayden only wishes healing for people. He's an educator and advocate with a specific focus on fertility and pregnancy issues that affect Black, gay, and transmasculine individuals. But he's human first. And full disclosure, I am the showrunner for This Is Actually Happening, and T knows nothing about anything. She comes in fresh. And this show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy, but also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you is the heart of Kayden's story.
Let's go with you first this time.
Okay. Mine's pretty basic.
No.
I boil it down into go meet some people.
Oh, that's nice.
Seriously, expand your bubble. Meet some people that you think you hate, and then tell me that your heart and mind isn't changed. I think it's so important that we tell these stories because they are human stories. The more we know, the more we hear, the more we discover, the more normalized it becomes, and the less hate in the world that there is. And that's a good thing.
And I think actually you're a perfect example of that, Elly.
Yes.
This past month or whatever, however long you were gone, you were in Arkansas hanging out with a bunch of Christians, right?
Mm.
No, I'm not saying that you hate them. I'm just saying we do,
Yeah.
We're firm about our
Convictions
about religion, specifically Christianity at times. And how was it?
It was great. It's I said this last week. It's people that I would never normally talk to at this stage of my life, maybe 20 years ago. What he said about taking off that mask really resonated with me so much because I felt like when I was deep in Christianity, even though I really believed it and I was really into it, I was wearing a mask of sorts because you constantly feel people looking at you and judging you and sizing you up. Like, is she being spiritual today? Were arms raised during praise and worship? I don't know. She seems kind of sinny. And so you do feel like you're wearing a mask a little bit. And to be able to shed that and then be in a Christian space. And I also don't have to wear this mask of like, I'm hard and I rebel and I reject this, so I can't be near you. Like, I didn't have to wear that mask either. Like, I was in Bible study, like being absolutely myself. And it was fucking fantastic. Like I talked about the first time I went to Bible study. I went to Bible study again. We did Ephesians. They specifically refer to, this is the book where it talks about like, men, respect your husband. He's the head of your household. And this is also the book where it's like, and also respect your slaves, and slaves, you should respect your masters. So we get done reading it, and Katie's like, do you have any thoughts? And I'm just sitting there like, do I do it?
I have a lot of thoughts.
And no one else is saying anything, but I know that when people read that shit, especially in this day and age, even Arkansans are enlightened about misogyny and racism, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just said what I thought everyone was thinking. Like, this subject yourself to the male, he's head of the household shit. Like, that seems really rooted in the patriarchy. And if Paul, the writer of the letter to Ephesus, if he was so concerned about like loving our neighbor, why would he admonish slaves be good to your masters and masters be good to your slaves? Why wouldn't he say, hey, no one should own anybody else. If you have slaves, you need to set them free. Why wasn't that the admonishment? Said it. And then I go, because we listen to the book being read out loud by this company that makes these things. And I was like, to be honest, there was a part of that where he was reading, and if someone would have walked in off the street, they would have thought they were walking into like a white Klansman meeting.
Wow.
Like, that's how racist it sounded. Like, when it was being read, I was like looking around the room like, there's a bunch of white people listening to this guy talk about how masters be nice to your slaves and slaves be nice to your masters. So, and I was getting laughs out of people, but I think, and I wasn't trying to like denigrate the Bible or denigrate Christianity. It was me just pointing out something that we read and we just kind of were afraid to address it because we think if we pick out something that we're indicting the whole thing. We're afraid that we're going to say the wrong thing or come across as like, oh, she's an atheist now. Like, no, we should be able to analyze these texts and wonder why they were written, and we should be able to root out what we think doesn't apply. Or why it's there and why it shouldn't apply.
That's how I did it.
And you just rooted out the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it opened up a bigger conversation. And at the end, I said to Katie, like, I hope you don't feel like I derailed the conversation. And she's like, no, I loved it. That was great.
Oh.
And I want you to be you. And I say all that to say, I'm not wearing the mask of Christianity, but I'm not wearing this mask of just out and out like atheism or rejection or rebellion. Like, I'm just me, and me doesn't believe in anything really, including the not believing part. I acknowledge that I don't know what I don't know. So let's just talk about it. And it just felt really freeing, and it felt accessible. I didn't feel like I was closing myself off to anyone. I felt, and you could tell that there was like a bonding that happened because of the honesty. And they don't know me, but they all knew that I was heading back to California a couple of days later. And they all were like so sweet to say that they love to have me there, and maybe I should like come in on a Zoom call for the next meetings. And I was like, maybe.
But that's nice.
But to be in a space that used to be so traumatic or triggering that you never thought you'd be able to go back to be able to go back to it as yourself is extremely, extremely freeing. It's a wonderful feeling. So I really resonated with him when he was talking about being able to take off those masks. What's your heart, T?
No, I was just going to say, and we don't got to get into it too much, but I wonder if I walked in, what that would be like.
If you entered that meeting, how would you be received?
Yeah.
I think you would be received in total love. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Total love and acceptance.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. Nice.
I mean, I was freely talking about my partner, so I made it clear that I was divorced and that I wasn't interested in, that I lived in sin. I didn't say that out loud, but
yeah,
I think that you'd be totally received, and then they'd probably pray behind your back.
Yeah, whatever.
People have done worse things behind your back.
Yeah, totally.
I would love to bring you to an Arkansas Bible study.
I don't know, like you took me paintballing where the dragon of the KKK or whatever lives, and it's just a little scary, you know?
Oh my God, T, why do you let me take you to these places?
I swear you're going to take me to one of, like, I'm going to end up randomly in Arkansas at some church and be like, here I am now. At least not everyone has guns pointed at me, like, which is nice. Not as scary.
So T came to pick me up in Osceola, Indiana to drive me back out to California in 2016. And yeah, Osceola is a small town and in a backward state. And we just, our property abutted the neighborhood or the property of the Grand Marshal. Who is it?
I thought it was a dragon. Isn't it a dragon?
Yeah, Grand Dragon of the KKK.
Right. Great.
And then we went down the street and then asked people to fire paintball guns at her, basically. Yeah,
I mean, really, we were talking about going laser tagging, which I thought that's what we're going to do. But I can't find laser tagging. It's like, let's just go paintballing. Like, okay. And then on our way, you're like, we're in the car and you just like point, oh, there's where the Grand Dragon, whatever, the KKK lives. I'm like, oh my God. And then we parked. I'm like, oh my God. I hope he doesn't frequent the paintball place here.
Just hustle.
My God. And then I was like scared. Like,
okay, well, what was your experience?
For my life.
You dealt with locals. How do people treat you?
Okay. At the paintball place, dudes were shirtless, hitting their chests, making grunting noises, and ammo. I'm like, these people are psycho. I was like, is that the Grand Dragon? Is that the Grand Dragon? I don't know what he looks like. Help me. And like, we're behind. Oh, I thought I was fighting for my life. Like, for real. I'm like going behind trees. I'm doing like somersaults and stuff. I was doing like all sorts of stuff. And like you and Simon got hit and you were out. And I was like by myself representing the other team. The other team who everybody else had died, and it was just me. So all I could do was like I like dug a hole and I hid and I cried a lot, and then I heard a whistle after like an hour, and I got out and I was like, thank God.
But did you have fun?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah.
Do your heart.
Oh man. So for my heart this time, he actually says it, but it resonated with me for various reasons. And I know we're talking about humans here, but my heart is seahorse.
Oh, yeah.
Right? My son very much enjoys underwater creatures
He does.
So when he mentioned the seahorse, I was like, oh, yeah, because, there's male pregnancy. They carry and birth the baby. So it does happen in nature, right? So that was a big connection. But also, seahorses have special powers, like they can camouflage, right? And I thought that talked about his like adaptability, his resilience, I thought that was pretty cool. And seahorses they're pretty awesome, right? They're pretty unique.
Yeah. There's some really unique looking ones. Yeah.
And graceful, and like beautiful creatures, delicate, but also they know how to live out there. Yeah. So I thought that was a good heart.
Yeah, it's great heart. Did you ever go to the seahorse exhibit at the Monterey Bay Aquarium?
No.
I went there with Whit. Whit and I went. This is years ago.
Fun.
We went specifically for the seahorse exhibit. Just some of the most, look them up, like Google, like crazy seahorses. Like they're just crazy looking ones. Like you didn't realize that they existed. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And did you know that Kayden calls himself Papa Seahorse online?
Oh, is that right? I know he mentioned it, being a seahorse.
So this guy Kayden, he's a famous dude. Like he talks about how he did a lot of like YouTube lives and stuff. He's got quite an online presence.
Okay.
And we were so lucky and excited that we got him to do this series. So let's start at the very beginning. He lost his twin in the birth canal. No,
not in the birth canal. When the twin brother was 2. That was when they were 2.
I know, but it's because of injury that the brother
He was deprived
sustained.
of oxygen and stayed in the uterus for too long after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Kayden talks a lot about how Black women don't get proper health care. They have to advocate more for themselves. I did do a little research.
Well, it's not just that they have to advocate more for. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's what they have to do in order to.
Yeah, they
be treated fairly.
Yeah, they get a lot of foul treatment.
Research alert.
Black women report experiencing disproportionate levels of unfair treatment in healthcare settings. For example, about 1 in 5 Black women say they have been treated unfairly by a healthcare provider or their staff because of their racial or ethnic background, and a similar share, 22% of Black women who have been pregnant or gave birth in the past 10 years say they were refused pain medication, and though they thought they needed. It contributes to this ongoing disparities in health for Black women, including stark divides in maternal health. KFF.org. I'm not sure what that stands for.
Kelly Blue Book? What is KFF? Why don't you go into like...
How can
what
it stand for like
that?
killing friendly female? It's like probably...
Oh, it's something.
What is it? I don't know. It's some kind of thing.
It's something.
But just Google it if you want to read more about it. It's absolutely true. It's really sad and a fascinating read. And so the brother, the twin, Kamal, right? Lived until 2. And then it sounds like that's where her settlement came from. So at least she got the settlement.
Yeah. Seems unfortunate with the settlement and him being unhoused for so long.
Oh, dude. He talks about being called the N-word by white kids when he was a kid. And he thought of white as beautiful, and he had to unlearn that. There's just so much indoctrination that's happening to kids all the time that is, some of it's really, really, it's constant, but it's like not obvious, but it's like messages that kids are getting all the time.
Yeah.
So even, especially if you think about like a family of color in a predominantly white area, they're going to feel it more, or they're going to notice the differences.
For sure.
So he's assigned female at birth. And I wanted to ask you if you know, this feels like particular language to me. Is this different than saying he was born female? I think that's a fair question to ask, right?
I think it's a fair question. I don't actually have, I say assigned female at birth.
Yeah.
What I've heard in the past too, it's like, oh, like biologically or something. And that has been, let's not use that. I know that. But if you say born female, I don't know. I don't know if that's acceptable language at this point. Let's see. I don't know.
Research alert?
Oh, I am doing research.
Look at you doing research.
I think it's because it's like the word assigned. I don't know.
Okay. I was just curious.
Like as if you were assigned it as opposed to it was something that you've like accepted or, as your own. You know what I'm saying?
But you can't fight what you're born as or with, right? It's not like either way, it's not chosen.
Well, Yeah, but people don't know that.
I don't know, I was just curious about that because he is very particular about always saying assigned female at birth. So it felt
That's
like
the thing. That's
an important thing
the
to
thing
know.
you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
Here we go. So it's used. So assigned male or female at birth is used to acknowledge the label given to a baby at birth. It's based on observable physical characteristics and does not necessarily reflect the individual's true identity,
Right.
which will be later realized in life.
Right. So when they're born, they're given this assumption based on their
Wait,
biology. Okay.
I have more. In contrast, terms like born female or biologically female can imply a fixed, unchangeable state, which doesn't account for the experiences of transgender, non-binary, or intersex individuals whose gender identity or biological characteristics may not align with the sex they were assigned at birth.
There's your answer.
Using assigned at birth promotes a more inclusive understanding of gender.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay?
Language change.
We're learning. We're learning.
I love learning.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from this whole series.
Oh, me too. I've learned a lot, and it's opened my mind
Me too.
a lot.
And it's made me want to like draw closer to people that I love more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
Like how I might be being
Is this another? It's not an official announcement.
not official announcement, but conversations are being had about me being a certain neighbor to certain someone else.
Me.
And honestly, maybe this is part of it. That's all part of that journey of like
Yeah.
figuring that out. Like where do you go? Especially, I always go back to COVID. Like COVID told us, reinforced us, be separate, be insular, keep apart. And we lived like that for years. And I think we have to almost like retrain ourselves to go, no, we're social creatures. We want to be with people. That's better.
Yeah, I
That's
forgot.
good.
I forgot
We
that.
forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Kayden always sort of presented masculine or like as a tomboy, and his mother hated that. Do you think that that's about when the abuse began, when she started maybe seeing the sort of differences in him? Because I think it's interesting that it seems like the abusive cycle did start at some point. Like it's not all he
Yeah.
remembers. He has memories of being like
Yeah.
loved and safe and warm.
Yeah.
And then an abusive cycle started, and this sort of like rejection of him, maybe even as young as maybe when he started present as, preferring masculine leaning things, it started to build that resentment in her even then.
I mean, that's how he tells the story a little bit. It's when, he'd get in trouble for playing football or something.
And sort of rejecting more feminine things.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he immediately talks about the abuse.
And then couple that with this idea of spare the rod, spoil the child. And he posits that she's mentally unwell. He got a big shit sandwich of really abusive behavior, including constantly rejecting him and kicking him out. And it makes me really mad. And he himself went back and forth with his gender expression, but he leaned toward men's clothing. But when he was in boys' clothes, he felt the most comfortable.
Yeah. And I love when he says he didn't really feel like he was born in the wrong gender, or what was
Right.
it, right? And it's because he didn't know that was even a thing you could think
Yeah.
about. So he had to learn it on his own, which is amazing.
And it feels like he really did come to it organically.
Yeah, I was kind of the same. I liked wearing more masculine clothing, and my parents weren't as into that. They'd be like, okay, well, you're going to wear this dress for this wedding or something. I'm like, ugh, I look like a man in a dress,
Yeah. No.
He said, yeah. But yeah. And I also was only exposed to seeing the other way, right? Like male to female or, so it's confusing. I mean, thank goodness for Who's the Boss Again? Shout out. Sam, you know, liked baseball, was a bit of a tomboy there. I was like, okay, good.
Did she help you feel normalized?
I'd say so, yeah. I was like, okay, see, Sam does it.
It's funny because I wore I tend to lean more on the masculine side, I think, too, when I dress. I wouldn't call myself like a bowls and ribbons.
I think it's however you want, right? It's a spectrum.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be like, okay, now you're going to wear pink.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I was obsessed with Nike. So I just wore all Nike, Michael Jordan t-shirts, Andre Agassi t-shirts. Like, that was my obsession for a good, 4 years, I think.
You should bring that back.
Okay. Man, if I still had those t-shirts.
Shirt of Michael Jordan's, just his giant face on your shirt with his signature. You're just walking around.
Okay.
That's what I'm into. What?
And I'm not doing it ironically. So he's at school. He's wearing his Reebok Classics.
Nice. I like the pump. I haven't had the pump. That's fine.
This lesbian TC calls him a lesbian.
TC.
That's such a lesbian name. and spoiler alert, he's attracted to femme men, but he feels that, but he doesn't know what to do with that.
Gay men, right?
But men, but that they're also a little that are more
a little
feminine.
bit. Okay, yeah.
Can I not say femme men?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know. I just wanted to distinguish because he had said gay men because he doesn't even know. It was interesting. He was like, for some reason, I was really attracted to gay men. No one even knew they were gay yet, or that they were gay. They're not even out.
Because remember, at this point, he's still a female or presenting as a female, right? Because this is like in high school, middle school.
Yeah, hasn't realized himself yet. Yeah.
But his journey toward that is toward lesbianism.
Yeah, like if I dress like this, I guess that means I'm a lesbian. It's like such a discovery. Like you're just like, I guess I'll go with this because.
Oh, is that what I'm wearing?
Yeah.
Lesbian? I love it how he says TC was too aggressive and it scared him.
Oh my God, totally.
But and we know these lesbians, but I mean, not to denigrate lesbians.
Great. Cut that.
We know these people.
Don't say people.
That's even worse. No, even I remember being 17 and any kind of expression of, I don't know, pushy sexuality was also scary to me as well. It's just
you might be attracted to somebody, but I'm not trying to do anything with you.
Yeah.
Like maybe we can play basketball, but that's what I got right now.
Hold hands.
Yeah, that's feeling a little too much. Oh my God, that would be way too much. Confusing. So,
his mother basically asked him to choose girlfriend or her. Now,
I'm going to choose girlfriend.
Any 17-year-old is going to choose pussy every time.
He doesn't even like pussy.
Whether he's in it or not, he's going to choose his friends first.
Yeah.
And it's just when he starts, his first foray into sort of living rough, and he lives in her car. And then what happens when he's gone?
She just up and leaves. Like a week later.
He moves to a completely different part of the state. It just abandons her child, basically.
Yeah.
And this really, and this forces, he can't get to school. This forces him to drop out. This is really the start of him living rough and being behind. And this rejection is not expected, but it still hurts.
I mean, he said it was expected. But...
Yeah, it was expected. Yeah, what'd I say?
Yeah. Wasn't, but it still hurts. That's okay. He knew she was the worst, but he still kind of want your mom to help protect you.
This mother of his, she discards him and then love bombs him to get him back. He trusts his mother, but this is the road that they're heading down of not being able to. She's not going to be trusted by him. Oh, he talks specifically about a time when he was living with her. A new man comes in, and him and his 3 cats get booted.
Yeah,
I have some universal rules written down here. Number 1, don't have kids if you can't love them unconditionally. Is that fair to say?
That's a good rule. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
2, don't reject your kids. Is that fair?
Very fair.
3, don't build up false trust. Period. Especially with your kids.
Oh, yeah. That's what she was doing.
4, don't choose a partner over your kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to talk shit about his mother, but this is the worst type of person.
Yeah.
Did you have feelings about his mother?
Oh, same. I mean,
yeah.
She's the worst.
I cannot think of anything more heartbreaking than hearing these stories from people that have come out and expressed themselves as something other and been rejected by their own family, their own parents, or kicked out of the house, or like unhoused, or abandoned, or rejected. What's the word? You're dead to me. Disowned. I can't think of anything sadder than that. I mean, you could probably argue with me on that point, but
Well, it's really sad and it's dangerous as well.
they're already having such a hard time with their own self-acceptance and identity, and to just rip that love away based on something that's so minuscule to who they are as a person.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and based on like antiquated ideas about who we are and what we're supposed to be. Like, just why can't we just love people as they are, especially your own kids? It's just insane to me. And it to think of that devastation that people face to be rejected like that. Like, I can't even begin to imagine what that feels like.
My kids could do anything, say anything, be anything.
We know.
We're great. They'll always be able to come here and hang out, live with me, whatever it need be.
Yeah.
I'll read the books about it or whatever. I'll learn about it, and then I'll, be there and do the things. Yeah.
Like, is it really so difficult to accept someone where they're at? Like, even if you think it's a phase or whatever you want to, what language you want to put around it, why can't you just live them where they're at? You go, okay, this is where you're at. I love you.
Let's
what can I do?
believe people when they tell you something.
Yeah.
Especially your kids. You're a trusted person. They're telling you the truth. They're not trying to do anything wrong.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out who they are. Help them,
And if they come to, and they're unsure too. I mean, they've worked up acknowledge how they've worked up so much courage and bravery to even express it out loud to you. To not make that a safe space is just bonkers, because you know what's going to happen if you give that negative reaction. They ain't coming to you again.
Yeah.
That was it. That was your one shot, and you ruined it.
Yeah.
And it ruins relationships. It ruins families, and it may take years for the parents to finally just come back around to what they should have done in the beginning and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I should have accepted you for who you are right then and there.
Yeah. And the amount of effort it probably takes people to actually say it.
Ugh.
The years people wait, the whole thing, and you could probably tell from their voice how, like how hard it is, how vulnerable they are. You should take that as like a gift.
That's devastating. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's so selfish too, because you're not even considering the insular, isolated, internal battle for so much time that they've had with themselves, and to be able to say it out loud, like, it's like once you say it out loud, that makes it so much more real, and then to say it to someone that rejects it, like, it's just the pain and devastation. It like breaks my heart to think about. And there's so many stories like that. So many.
That's why even now, it's like, if the kid says they feel sick or something,
yeah, I'm
going to believe them.
Yeah.
I don't think they're trying to manipulate me or anything.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, no, you're just trying to get out of, school or whatever. And then they just throw up on you and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Or maybe like, let's dig in. Like, is there something you're trying to avoid at school?
Yeah.
If there is, you can tell me about it, instead of just going, you're going to school whether you like it or not. Like, kids that are having a tough time at school, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
So maybe probe a little bit more.
But
and find out.
Believe them. Something's happening.
Yeah, something's happening.
Yeah.
Either they're sick or they're trying to avoid school. Why are they trying to avoid school? There's a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 2% of it is they just want to be lazy at home playing video games or watching TV or whatever.
Well, they're not going to be able to do that.
That might happen.
Wait a minute. No, I just remember that the storyteller. I don't remember which one. Whatever. It was like, I don't want to go to school.
Yeah, their mom was like, yeah, you don't have to go.
I love that.
Oh, well, it just so happens we already have a homeschool, so let's do it.
Perfect.
Okay. So he moves to Oregon, where he's only one of 2 Black people. He really gets around the country, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Most of us stay in our one little station that we're born into, or just move to California and then call it over.
And then you get to go from there.
He's living as a masculine presenting woman for a decade. And he's
Yep.
with a girlfriend, and he discovers that there are things, binding materials to, like, how do you describe it to you? Reduce your flatten your testicles so that you present.
Did you say testicles?
Testicles?
It's like, I don't think you know what that is.
I got 2 large testicles.
Oh, testicles. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to present more masculine. So it's trying to create, to reduce the boobage.
Yeah.
And the girlfriend said no. He was like, okay. I thought I had written a note about where he said he was doing something for her and not for himself. And this was like sort of the start of this is reflective because of his relationship with his mother, of his like people pleasing, maybe putting on a mask of sorts. But that note's not here, so never mind. So they break up and he moves back to the East Coast, and he's got this feeling that something's not right. He's not aligned with himself. He's existing but not living. And as soon as he realized he wanted to transition, he knew who he was. This cannot be understated, to have this feeling. And that's it for him.
Yeah.
And for people that are like, but I don't get it, it's weird. What does that have to do with you?
Yeah.
It makes sense to him.
Yep.
You buy a Lexus every year. I think that's stupid. But you can do it. Go on, girl. Go get your Lexus. What does that have to do with me?
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so simple. Live and let live. It's so simple.
Why people even care, and then care so
People
much.
have such a strong visceral reaction
Very
to this.
strong. Very strong. And then they're like, okay, and now we need to ruin their lives. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how far it goes. It goes pretty far.
It's deep as fuck.
It's
So
not just
he
like
said-
judging from afar. Right.
No, it is impacting people's
I'm going to
lives.
pray for him. Just
Yeah,
pray for
in secret.
pray for me in secret. That's fine.
Yeah, behind my back. Pray
Yeah.
behind my back and keep your mouth
That'll be
shut in my
good.
face.
But now you got to go, you got to congregate, you got to meet up with people, and now there's some sort of
Cause.
like,
Yeah.
why?
It's
It's
so funny
ridiculous.
because everyone's like, "Oh, these movements, LGBTQ, it's a movement." It's only a movement in reaction to your movement
Right.
against them.
If you just let
They're
us
not-
do the thing.
Yeah, pride didn't come out of like, "Hey, we're so proud, let's go." It's just. Can I not do that
I
voice?
don't know.
I think I can get away with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, fine.
It's a reaction to people telling them they can't be
Yeah.
proud. If you just shut your mouth, they're just gonna live their lives.
So the women buying Lexuses every
Yeah.
day or whatever, every
Lexi.
year, Lexi, there's no movement for that because just do what you want to do. I think it's dumb, but
Yeah,
sure.
who gives a shit?
But if you became really passionate about it because people are like, well, you can't do that anymore.
You're not allowed to do that.
Well, now
Fucking stupid bitch.
Karen's coming out.
And she's like, going to be Lexus Pride. Is this comparative?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't even know why that was a thing.
Okay. He calls himself a binary transgender man, and he doesn't waver in how he feels. And he says at this time in his life, he was presenting male enough that he could feel like he could breathe. So he felt like when he was in public spaces, no one was looking at him going, what is he? Like he felt like he very much passed. Okay, so he talks about how testosterone is a class A drug and it's hard to get. Listen to this.
Research alert.
In 1990, fears about cheating athletes and the health risks of steroids, yeah, right, caused the DEA to classify testosterone as a controlled substance. This classification dates back to 1990 when people were concerned about the athletes abusing steroids to cheat in competition. So what that says to me is we're willing to regulate this shit when our money is at stake, because that's the only thing that people care about. They don't care about the athlete's health. This is about money, honey. It's always come back to money. Oh, you can't regulate where people drill for oil, freedom, baby. But as soon as you tell someone that they might be cheating in their precious sports, you gotta regulate that drug. And now people that want to use it to be able to transition, it's really, really exceedingly hard to get. And especially someone that maybe is living in a precarious financial situation, is moving a lot, etc. Those gaps in coverage are what sort of created these spaces where he was able to get pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, ended up being a good thing, but it's not something that he intended for himself.
Man, there's a lot of issues on healthcare in this story as well.
Dude.
Yeah.
We're fucked. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible.
We done being fucked. We're going to keep getting fucked.
Didn't know he was pregnant.
But let's go back before the pregnancy.
Oh,
So at first in this journey, he felt he had to be more masculine, right? Like he talks about
right.
put on like a voice. But then he decided, I'm not going to leave one box for another. And what he says that coming out is like this radical self-love, which I think it definitely is. And it's like you fuck society. It's hard because you want to say fuck you society, but then you also have been socialized your whole life to want to live and be quote unquote perceived successful in society or accepted by society. I think we all do this a little bit. Like we make radical, brave, maybe unconventional choices for ourselves, but then we fall back into the same shit of wanting to keep up with the Joneses, right? Like I've made radical decisions, like hard ones that I'm very proud of, but because of that, I've started over a lot in my life. And so when you guys are like talking about your new electric cars that you just got,
what
and
cars?
I'm kind of going, I wish there's part of me that's like, well, I should be at a place where I can get a nice electrical car. But I have to remind myself that I didn't set my life up for that.
I don't know if we're talking to your inner dialogue right now, which is fine.
Yeah, I've done a lot of couch surfing in my life. But we have these brave, unconventional choices for ourselves. And when we start to compare ourselves, that's when it starts to get like icky. We need to make sure that we keep living and being radical, brave, unconventional self. And we shouldn't use the same markers or standards to judge ourselves against others. And I don't think anyone should, period. I think comparison is the thief of joy, period. But sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we're doing okay. We made those choices and we're going to stick with them. And the outcomes might be a bit different than people that might have chosen a more conventional pathway. And when you live who you are, you become more confident. And that's really very attractive. Confidence. Probably the most attractive thing.
Hot.
He says that he got more respect as a man. Was that the confidence or the patriarchy? Hard to know.
Combo. I think it's combo.
Maybe it's combo. Might not ever know. So he acknowledges that he wants to be with a man, and now he can accept the feminine of himself because it's not forced upon him. Isn't that wonderful? He can decide.
However he wants to be. Yeah.
And guess what? There might be a little femininity in there that he might, embrace. So transitioning made him comfy and confident to explore new parts of himself that he wouldn't have before. Why is that?
He's free to be.
He's free.
Free to be him.
He's free to be. And it's like once you make big strides in like getting a bit of freedom for yourself, I feel like it's brings so much joy that it's like, what else can I do? What else can I have? What else can I be? What else can I explore? Right?
It opens up your world. What?
Yeah. So I thought this was interesting, and maybe you can speak more to this, T, if you know things. He says that the trans community kind of knocked him for being a gay trans man.
Oh, man.
Why is that? And he said it himself that it didn't make sense to him. But do you have thoughts about that? Why that community would give him shit?
I mean, he talks a little bit about, you're trying to get gay rights, and then, I don't know, like staying within a box so people can understand what they might be supporting. I guess maybe it's too confusing when you bring in other factors.
He's being outside too many boxes at one time. It's going to make the rest of us look bad.
It used to be LGBT, used to be like gay.
Right.
No, it used to be like weirdo.
Homo. Oh, yeah. It used to be just freak.
Used to be no homo, right? Used to be weirdo. And then it was like, gay. Then it was LGBT, and then it was, or I don't know how the sequence went. But as it grows, of course, you need to support the people within that community. But if the community gets bigger, or if it, I think I don't understand why. But
I mean, I get it. It's like, we're trying to get as little as we can. We're just trying to hang on, and you're like asking for too many things. But I think if we've learned anything about gender and sexuality, it's so fluid. So of course it makes sense that there's going to be many different data points on this graph.
yeah,
And they're not always going to like fall in
it's
a
a whole
box.
graph. It's the graph.
It's a whole graph.
It's a graph. And if you're talking about inclusivity, you can't be like
Yeah.
exclusive
Yeah.
randomly,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're totally inclusive except for that guy because he's also gay. It's like, but no, you're cool with gay. Well, I mean, he's trans and gay. It's like, oh, but I thought you were
But-
cool with trans.
It's like you
Well,
just
we're cool
walk
with
back
trans.
around again.
We're cool with trans. We're cool with gay. We're not cool with gay
Yeah,
trans.
together.
That's too much.
So he meets his husband at 27, or his first husband at 27. And he has top surgery, and he stops his testosterone for a while, and he does assume that he was infertile, but he wasn't. And he found out he was pregnant, and he was 21 weeks along. And I thought it was really funny that they assumed one of the CVS's just had defective
No, that's
tests on their
defective.
shelves.
No, it doesn't work.
Well,
Oh,
let's
the
try another
second one
location.
too. The third one too. No, let's go to the other one. Yeah.
Bad location. And he talks about like accepting that he was going to have a kid, sort of like going through a grief stages, because they really had decided they didn't want kids. And,
Yeah.
they went through all these stages, and they finally got really excited about it. But what was really fascinating to me about this part is he wasn't out, right? So he
Yeah.
just was presenting as man wherever he went. So now he's got to say, hey.
Oh my God, what a crazy thing for like people who might not even be down with LGBTQIA, anything.
Yeah,
And they're like, so we're like dudes, right? Like, what did that?
right, we're bros.
I'm a dude. Always been a dude in my heart. Anyway, I'm
Yes.
pregnant. Like,
But
how
I do
you-
have stuff that allowed me to be pregnant.
And it's like,
So he's passing
Yeah.
as man at work. He's got to say he's pregnant. His husband's own family didn't know.
amazing. Wow.
Amazing. What do you think about that? Did they deserve to know before they got married? I'm legitimately
I
asking.
don't think anyone deserves to know anything
Okay.
unless it affects them. It doesn't really affect them.
It's a fascinating concept.
I think it's like saying, like, show me what's down there. I need to know what's down there.
No, I know you're right.
Because you're
right.
about to go to this bathroom. I need to know. Or whatever, It's like, I don't want to know what's down there. I don't want to know what's down there. Do whatever you do.
Quit making me picture what's down there.
And it's not even about down there. What's in here?
Yeah.
Show me what's in here.
Well, I
Where
think
are
it's
you
really
saying?
interesting that his husband had, at some point came out to his family and then married a man, and then, maybe his husband's own parents went through their own grieving of like, our kid's never going to have a biological kid.
Yeah.
And how whoopsie daisy, not only are you going to have a grandkid, but it's because, my partner is a trans man.
So we're dudes, right? We're dudes. Anyway, I'm pregnant. I think that.
And just that's what it is.
Yeah.
So he's holding all of these feelings of fear and confusion, but also like shock and excitement. And he just decided,
Just had top surgery.
yeah.
So you're feeling yourself. You're like, yeah. And then you're like, wait,
Oh.
it's strange. Yeah.
And right then and there, he knew there was part of him that wanted to hide and just hide that baby away till it was born. Never the twain shall be met. But he knew that he was not going to hide. And just because he's pregnant doesn't mean he's not a man. He's a transgender man who can ovulate.
Gay transgender man who can
Gay
ovulate.
transgender man who can ovulate. What? Science.
God, stop. Just let me. What
Just
why
let it
does
be.
it? Yeah.
We see the steps of how it happened. So why are you well, how did that happen? Like, we get
You're
it.
a
We know how it
doctor.
happened.
You should
Yeah.
know this.
And they have this excitement. They're having a baby. And it really does end with this breakthrough. And he said that he did get a big mixed reaction. it's a great headline, gay man having a baby. Which is just ridiculous because it's just a bait. It's a bait click. What is it called?
Clickbait.
Clickbait. Thank you.
Bait click.
I was trying to say click and bait.
It should be bait click, shouldn't it?
And he says it himself. He was hated. It seemed he was hated for having breath in his lungs. Fuck.
Why?
How many people feel that? How many people hate people for having breath in their fucking lungs? And the community is protective of themselves because the gay trans or the trans community feels like they have to align with cis heteronormative things to be accepted. And then he's also Black. So there's lots of opinions here. And he was talking about how, especially then, it was rare to see a Black trans man.
Good thing he came out. He's telling people. He's getting it out there.
So he does talk about these experiences in the media. I was going to look him up, but I didn't have time. Were you able to find that BuzzFeed article or anything? No.
No research alert.
No research alert. Let's talk about the PTSD he had from his birth experience. This sounded horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, birth already sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Told no for a C-section. How do you tell someone no? I just can't get. No privacy, treated like a lab rat, and he says he had to have a nervous breakdown basically to get what he wanted. And then he has 2 years of PPD with no medications. And why? He believed that he had to put on this front to everyone else that he wasn't mentally unwell, because if he says, I am suicidal, and I have all these collective other things that you think are egregious or mental unwellness, he knows that people are just looking for a reason to take this baby away. And he had to suffer. I can't even imagine just suffering like that for 2 years without any care and not being allowed in maternal spaces. And then he gives up his daughter to the birth father for her, which is, we could do a whole show about that.
I know.
But we don't have time. I didn't know trans competent was a thing, but I did look it up. I encourage you guys to look it up. I don't know who this lady is that was pardoned by Trump.
Yeah.
I think I found her. Again, look it up. This is just a whole show of telling people to Google things.
Yeah.
Here, I'll Google it or you Google it. If you want to know
Did
more
either of us Google it now? Okay, you
I
guys
did Google it, but I just don't have time. There's not enough time. So he's got these trolls that say, hope you get murdered. And he just wishes for them healing. And that's such a wonderful point of view to have. And I think that we are finally like that with our comments. We're not asking you to challenge us with that in any way, but it does take some time to get to the point where you can just see that people are suffering and that's why they're trolling you. And you just have to say, God wish you well.
But this is what I'm talking about. It's like the hatred. Just pray for someone behind their back. Why do we have to go threaten their lives, make laws, do all these things, organize to ruin other people's lives who aren't even hurting you? Yeah. Just pray.
Yes. Just pray. And love and support, it cancels the trolls.
Yeah.
He loves winning haters over.
I love that.
One person at a time.
Love it.
One person at a time. He's human first and trans second.
Yes.
And that's it. And he's raising humans that are compassionate and empathetic. And there's no other agenda. He's not raising them to be like little Antifa mobsters like people act like they are. Like he's raising them. They're going to be wonderful kids because they understand like the full spectrum of the human experience. They're not just stuck in a box. So I think that we should all endeavor for that. Let's just be compassionate and empathetic humans. Humans are humans. Let them breathe their air however they want to breathe it.
Let's all be human.
Especially in fucking America, means. Everyone's talking about freedom, baby. Let people have
I know,
free.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Land of the free, except for
thee.
Yeah.
Free for me, not for thee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Free to drive my Lexi, but not for ye with your PPE.
Or not. Whatever.
Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Botted. You can find our show, our podcast, or kept. If you like us, please rate and review us on Apple and other places. Go to YouTube, y'all. Thanks to Kayden for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. Find him and his work, well, all over. Just search him, Kayden Coleman. He's on YouTube, he's on Instagram, he's on TikTok. Go give them some love. To seek out info about the Modern Family Institute, donate and help to advance their work, or get engaged, please visit their website at modernfamilyinstitute.org. And don't forget about the event at Manny's in San Francisco on July 24th. Tickets are available now. The link is in our show notes. If you do not have the money to go, reach out to Manny's. They do not turn away anyone because they can't pay. You can come if you want to come. Thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Hannah Shambolia. Thanks to Cathy Sites for editing this episode, and Katie Capel for building those blasted Instagram posts. You can find us on YouTube at the same address as everywhere else, Trauma Bonded Pod Official, our Gmail, Instagram, blah, blah. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, T.
Love you, Elly.